As an observer in the world of entertainment, I had seen many aspiring models and actors trying to make their mark in the industry. But Karen McDougal was different. She was already a well-established name, with her face gracing the covers of countless magazines and her presence felt at numerous high-profile events. It was hard to believe that she was about to become even more famous, but for an entirely different reason: her 10-month-long relationship with the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. It was at a party in the iconic Playboy mansion, where it all began. She caught the eye of the business tycoon and was immediately drawn to his charm and intelligence. She had seen him on TV before, but meeting him in person was a whole different experience. Little did she know that this chance encounter would turn her life upside down. Donald and Karen's love story was a whirlwind from the start. As an observer, I couldn't help but be captivated by the way Donald was immediately drawn to Karen's beauty and charisma. He showered her with compliments and made her feel like she was the only woman in the room. And Karen, being used to being pursued by men, couldn't help but be flattered by his attention. It wasn't long before they exchanged numbers, and as their conversations became more frequent, I watched as Karen was swept off her feet by Donald's wit and charm. It was obvious to anyone watching that she was falling for him. Their first date was at the luxurious Beverly Hills Hotel. I remember clearly how Donald had reserved a bungalow for the two of them, making Karen feel like a princess. They had a romantic dinner and talked for hours about various topics. I was impressed by Donald's knowledge and passion for business, but there was something else that I couldn't help but notice: the strong sexual tension between them. As the night went on, I watched as Donald made his intentions clear, and Karen was hesitant at first. She knew she was attracted to him, but as an observer, I could tell she was also conflicted. As they continued to see each other, Karen found herself falling for him, unable to resist his charm and lavish lifestyle. Their secret relationship continued for 10 months, with Karen flying across the country to meet Donald wherever he was. As an observer, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of guilt as I watched Karen share the details of their meetings and dates. It was obvious that she was betraying her own values, but she seemed unable to resist the luxurious and exciting lifestyle that Donald was offering her. Their encounters were often in private, whether it be in a luxurious hotel or even on Donald's own private plane. And as they spent more time together, I saw the dynamic between them change. Karen was no longer the confident and independent woman I had first seen. She had become dependent on Donald's attention and was willing to go against her own beliefs for him. But everything changed the day I saw Donald pay Karen after one of their consensual sexual encounters. I could see the shock and hesitation on her face as she refused to accept the money. It was clear that Karen was not the kind of woman who could be bought with money and gifts. But even with this realization, their relationship continued. Karen was enamored with Donald and couldn't seem to let go of him. And as I watched from the sidelines, I felt a sense of sadness for her. I could see that she was losing herself in this relationship and was no longer the independent and confident woman she once was. Karen had always been intrigued by the luxurious lifestyle of the rich and famous. So when she was invited to Trump Tower in New York City, she couldn't resist the opportunity to experience it firsthand. As she entered the building, she was greeted by Trump's personal staff and immediately drawn to the opulent decor. As she followed Trump through the grand hallways, Karen noticed the portraits hanging on the walls, depicting himself and his family. When they settled into the living room, Karen was surrounded by the extravagance of Trump's home. She couldn't help but admire the expensive furnishings and the view of the city from the large windows. Months went by and Karen found herself falling deeper in love with Trump. She had never felt this way about anyone before, and she was convinced that he felt the same way about her. He constantly told her how much he loved her and how she was the only woman who truly understood him. One day, Trump surprised Karen with the news that his Christmas gift to her would be an apartment in New York City. Overjoyed, Karen could hardly believe it when he showed her a picture of a beautiful unit in Trump Tower. But as they walked through the halls of the building, Karen couldn't shake off a feeling of unease. She questioned why Trump was being so discreet about their relationship. Was he afraid to bring her to his home? Or was there another reason? Karen found herself struggling with the idea that she was just another woman in Trump's life. One evening, as they were having dinner in the apartment, Karen couldn't help but voice her concerns to Trump. She told him how she felt like she was just a trophy to him, and that she wanted something real and meaningful. But Trump simply brushed off her concerns and assured her that she was the only one for him. This moment made Karen realize that Trump was never going to leave his glamorous life behind for her. She knew she deserved better, but she couldn't bring herself to leave him. I could easily notice the contrast between the two figures. Trump, a confident and powerful man, leading the way with a self-assured stride, and McDougal, a woman who seemed to be carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders, her every step tentative. I can imagine the statement echoing in McDougal's mind. When you do something wrong, it is guilty. But when you do something wrong in the middle of somebody's house, it feels more than that. She seemed to be mulling over past encounters with the man who now guided her through the opulent residence. My thoughts were interrupted as they approached a closed door. It was clear from McDougal's expression that this was a familiar path. I wondered which was behind this door. It was Melania's room. This wouldn't be the first time McDougal had crossed paths with the First Lady. The first time, she had tried to keep her distance. I could observe the guilt and shame written all over her face. She knew she was in the wrong for having an affair with Trump, a man who was now leading her to his wife's room. However, as time passed, Karen began to notice small things that made her question the state of their relationship. Rumors of Trump's infidelity always swirled around him, but Karen brushed them off, confident in his commitment to her. That is, until she saw a photo of him with another woman, a well-known model. Her heart sank as she realized that all those rumors may have some truth to them. She couldn't believe that he would betray her like this, and she felt a pang of jealousy and insecurity. I watched as Karen started to pay more attention to Trump's behavior. She noticed small details that made her question the solidity of their relationship. He would make excuses for not spending time with her, and he became increasingly distant and secretive. Karen couldn't help but wonder if there was someone else in Trump's life. Despite wanting to believe Trump's words, Karen couldn't ignore the signs any longer. She made the decision to do some digging of her own, and she hired a private investigator to look into Trump's activities. What she discovered was devastating. Her worst fears were confirmed. Trump was indeed cheating on her with multiple women. She couldn't understand how someone who claimed to love her could betray her like this. I watched her try to talk to Trump about it, but he dismissed her concerns and reassured her that she was the only one he truly cared about. But she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. She started to see less of him, and their dates became more secretive. Karen began to feel like she was just another woman in Trump's life, not the special one she thought she was. It was a regular day for Karen, until she received a call from a close friend who worked in the media. As she listened to the details, her heart sank. Rumors were circulating about Trump's alleged affair with another woman, and Karen couldn't believe what she was hearing. The man she once loved and thought loved her back could do such a thing? Despite her shock, Karen tried to lay low and stay out of the media frenzy, but it seemed like every day there was a new story about her and Trump. No matter how much she wanted to move on and forget about him, Karen couldn't escape the constant reminders of their past relationship, and with each story that surfaced, she felt a mix of anger and sadness. As much as Karen tried to avoid the public eye, she was approached by a publication that was willing to pay a large sum for her story about Trump. At first, she was hesitant to speak out, afraid of the potential backlash and legal repercussions. But as she watched Trump deny the allegations and continue to cheat on his wife, Karen knew she had to speak her truth. In a tell-all interview, Karen divulged the details of her relationship with Trump. She spoke of his promises to leave his wife for her and the numerous instances of infidelity. She also revealed that she had signed a non-disclosure agreement with Trump's lawyer, which she now deeply regretted. Karen's story quickly went viral, catapulting her into the spotlight as the ex-Playboy model who had an affair with Donald Trump. However, the power and influence of Trump's team were immediately put into action. They worked tirelessly to discredit Karen's story, claiming she was simply seeking attention and money. But Karen refused to back down, determined to not let Trump get away with his lies and deception. Exposed, Karen's journey from secrecy to courage in the shadow of Trump. As the months passed, their relationship became more and more public. Rumors of their affair began to surface, and Karen found herself avoiding the media and hiding from the public eye. She started to realize that this was not the life she wanted for herself. She wanted to be able to openly love the man she was with, without the fear of judgment or shame. Karen decided to arrange a meeting with Trump in his office. As I walked into the room, I was overwhelmed by the flood of memories that rushed through my mind. This lavish office with expensive furniture and the familiar scent of Trump's cologne had been a familiar setting for their meetings in the past. But this time, there was no charm or charisma. Instead, the man I once knew as a powerful and confident businessman seemed tired and burdened. Despite his current position as the President of the United States, Trump appeared worn and stressed, with deep bags under his eyes. As they sat down to talk, I observed how much he had changed. The Trump I used to know possessed immense energy and unmatched passion. But now, he seemed drained and lacking in that same drive. It was clear to me that the weight of his responsibilities had taken a toll on him. Trump opened up to her, and I could see the vulnerability that he had always tried to hide. He spoke about the challenges of being the president and how it had affected him. He confessed that he missed their time together, and that she was the only person who truly understood him and made him feel like a human being again. Hearing these words from him was both heartbreaking and poignant. Despite their differences and the controversy surrounding him, she had always known that there was a softer side to Trump. And now, here it was before her, vulnerable and exposed. He went on to reveal his current marital problems. I could see the pain in his eyes as he spoke about trying to maintain appearances despite his unhappiness. It was then that I truly realized the gravity of the situation. It wasn't just about their relationship anymore. The man in front of me was the President of the United States, and his personal life was intertwined with his public image. She couldn't bear the thought of being the cause of any further turmoil in his life, especially not on this grand scale. It was in that moment that Karen knew she had to let Trump go. As much as she still cared for him, she couldn't continue to be a part of his world. Their relationship had been built on secrecy and lies. It was never meant to withstand the spotlight of politics. I understood that it was time for them to move on and find their own paths. And so, she said goodbyes and walked out of the office, leaving behind the man she once loved. She felt a sense of relief and closure wash over her. Her relationship had been a turbulent one, filled with highs and lows, but it had also been a learning experience. Karen's revelation caused a media frenzy, with everyone wanting to know more about her relationship with Donald. She was met with both praise and criticism, but she stood by her decision to speak out. As the world watched in shock, Karen told her story about her 10-month affair with the now President of the United States. Her life may never be the same again, but Karen found solace in knowing that she had stood up for herself and her values. She had learned a valuable lesson about the consequences of being drawn to the glitz and glamour of fame and power. And as she looked back at her journey, Karen knew that despite all the ups and downs, she had come out stronger and wiser. As for Trump, I couldn't help but worry about him and the challenges he would continue to face as the leader of our nation. But I also knew that he was a resilient and determined individual, and he would find a way to overcome anything that came his way. And as an observer, that was all I could do, observe from a distance, without any influence on his life.